Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, have a look at Storm Garrett as it is now starting to move through, bringing heavy rain, heavy snow in places and widespread very gusty winds. It will last through the rest of today and perhaps even into parts of Thursday in some regions. So have a look at the latest for the weather warnings for it and the latest UKV as well. Look at the precipitation temperature and the wind gusts over the next 5 days. We'll always have a look in detail at the longer term as things are shaping up very interestingly as we head into the new year. It is looking really quite possible now we could be on the cusp of a major cold spell as we progress into the first or second week of January. Of course, we've got the risk of a sudden stratospheric warming occurring in the next week or two, and I have done multiple videos on that over the last week, so do check those out. But the sudden stratospheric warming, whether we do see a major warming, exactly how it does occur, we're still a little bit of uncertainty with that. But one thing we are starting to see is a bit of a tropospheric response to this major warming, and that tropospheric response is in the form of blocking patterns and perhaps a pretty decent chance of some very cold conditions. So have a look at the latest from the operational runs and the ensembles as they are all trending colder as we head into the new year. Some trending much colder with the risk of some substantially colder than average air moving in straight from either the Arctic or from the east. So we'll explore the risk and the time frame to this in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you look at the live radar, you can see Storm Garrett is moving in for the moment, and for most, we couldn't be further from winter, more like autumnal conditions for many at the moment. Temperatures into the low teens, very heavy rain moving in, lots of these squally features where you can see some of these darker reds and oranges, a little squall features moving in on the cold front. Heavy rain up and down the country, some areas in between features at the moment, seeing slightly drier conditions, but it's still cloudy, pretty miserable with very strong winds around. Of course, you can see across northern Scotland we are seeing some heavy snow in places, again mainly over the higher ground of northern and eastern Scotland. And of course that snow level, the freezing level, is rising because we are seeing milder air move in with this weather front. But for some, it is still snowing, and we are continuing to see that those snow accumulations pile up. The warnings has around 200-300 metres upwards. Could see 10 to 15 centimetres of snow. Much of that's already fallen, but we'll continue to see some more snow over the coming hours. If we do put on the temperatures, as around the middle of the afternoon, you can see it is very mild across central southern England. A cold front is sweeping in now, so it will cool it down through the evening into tomorrow. But for Scotland, it is still relatively chilly, especially over the higher ground. And that is why we're still seeing bits and bobs of snowfall. If we have a look at the wind speeds, again, these are not the wind gusts, but the sustained wind speeds, you can see widely it is very windy at the moment. You can see where the centre of the low is, further northwards across parts of Scotland, where we have very low wind speeds. But around the centre of the low, where there are tighter isobars, the wind speeds pick up quite substantially. And see further southwards, we're pretty far away from the centre of the low, but we've still got very tight isobars, so we are still seeing very strong winds associated with this Storm Garrett. And these will last through the rest of the evening for clearing into tomorrow. Now, if you do look at the weather warnings, we've got weather warnings up and down the country. Most haven't been updated from yesterday, so we won't spend too long looking at them. But of course, we'll update you on ones that have changed. So you can see again, this warning issued a good few days ago now on Christmas Eve from 3 AM until 6 PM. So it does expire in a few hours' time as the wind gusts do die down. But again, we're looking at 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. We've got a big rain warning issued for much of Wales. Again, the impact level has been updated and the warning end time has been brought forward to 4 PM, so expiring very soon as the weather front does clear. We do have a widespread wind warning issued for much of western and northwestern areas. It has been updated to extend further inland across Wales and northwest England, as well into northwest Midlands and the southern Pennines. Impact level also been increased. Again, we're looking at 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and it only actually comes into force later on this evening. As we move into areas further northwards from 3 a.m. until 6 p.m, more heavy rain, getting the impact level updated, and it has been extended into Northumberland, but has been removed from Staffordshire. Again, expires in a couple hours time. Got another rain warning issued here for parts of the far north of England. Again, expires in a couple hours time. Was issued on Boxing Day, and then we've got widespread warnings issued for Scotland here. A rain and snow warning issued for much of central, northern, and eastern Scotland. It does expire at 9 p.m. this evening, hasn't been updated since yesterday. Again, we got another wind warning issued for much of northern, western, pretty much all of Scotland really, and expires at midnight. And then we got a wind and snow warning issued for parts of the Shetland Islands, or for pretty much the whole of the Shetland Islands, all the way until 6 a.m. tomorrow, as we're going to continue to see lots of snow and strong winds in this region. And then a couple of those warnings do drag into Thursday, but at this stage, no warnings issued for the days following this. But as we head up to the new year, we could see more big low pressure systems move in, potentially even the risk of another named storm. There is the risk there, but a lot of the models are disagreeing exact intensities and positioning. But regardless, it still could be some more disruptive weather as we head into the weekend. So we could see, and we'll probably most likely see, more weather warnings issued, most likely as we head into tomorrow. So do have a look at the latest UKV to see how that does develop over the coming days. Again, you can see Storm Garrett moving in, heavy rain and heavy snow for northern areas, and then eventually we are seeing the back edge of the weather front move through over the coming hours, bringing strong gusty winds and heavy squally showers. As we head through this evening, the rain, the major big areas of rain will clear, but then we'll continue to see smaller areas of heavy showers and even some thunderstorms, some convective potential out there. As we head through the evening into Thursday morning, more showers around, potentially some snow showers again across Scotland. And then as we head into Thursday afternoon, we're just seeing lots of unsettled westerly winds moving in, gusty, with areas of heavy rain coming in off the Atlantic. As we head into Thursday, into Friday, more heavy showers around. No big prolonged areas of rain yet, but Friday's going to have lots of showers and potentially even wintry showers for much of Scotland there, as we do see some back edge colder air move in as the low has moved out into the North Sea. As we head into Saturday, though, you can see cloud builds from the southwest, and we see another big weather front move in. Again, this could be another named storm. Again, uncertainty with the intensity of this, but some very heavy rain and another squall feature along the back edge of this system as it sweeps through Saturday evening into Sunday, and then lots of showers moving in for the final day of 2023. And then for New Year's Day, again, it is looking quite varied. Some wintriness in the north, but generally quite a few showers around. Again, if we have a look at the wind gusts, you can see very strong wind gusts initially at the moment with the initial weather front moving through. But as the centre of the low sweeps through later this evening, we could see another bout of very strong winds across much of England and Wales through the early hours of the morning, before eventually it does slowly die down into tomorrow. But it could still be reasonably gusty out there, 50, 60 miles per hour, especially for parts of Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland there. As we progress into Friday, again, wind gusts are still pretty strong, not quite warning worthy at this stage, but that could be upgraded. But still relatively strong winds around all the way through Friday. A brief lull into Saturday morning, but then another very strong system moves in, and this is where we could see, as I said, another named storm. Very strong winds again, 50 to as high as 80 miles per hour moving in from the west, and then eventually it will start to die down into the new year, but still remaining very windy. So yes, could be a few lulls over the next 5 days, but it's generally remaining very unsettled, remaining very windy as well, with the temperatures very much up and down, as we'll see now. 2 metre max temperatures this afternoon, widely around the 10 to 12 degrees for many areas of England and Wales. Pretty mild, but Scotland pretty cold. A cold front will be sweeping through, and it will give some fresher conditions in places, but by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, milder air has replaced that as the weather systems keep moving through. And again, 10 to 12 degrees in the southeast, mid to high single digits further northwards. Into Friday, a fresher start for many, and again more of an average day, mid to high single digits, closer to freezing in Scotland. And then Saturday, milder in the south, colder in the north, so quite a big split. And then into the final day of 2023, it's a pretty average day. Temperatures mid to high single digits, low single digits further northwards. So we're finishing December from the latest UKV on an average note. The year's been far from average, though. It's been very warm, but finishing more towards average. And then as we start the new year, many areas are waking up pretty chilly, but nothing crazy cold, with temperatures down towards the low single digits. But as we head into 2024, it is looking really quite possible now. We could be seeing some very cold conditions start to establish itself during the first week or two of January. Not only do the natural weather patterns look more more on board with more amplification of the jet stream, but of course we're seeing a likely sudden stratospheric warming, or at least a major warming in the stratosphere. Whether we officially get towards a negative zonal mean winds, it's difficult to say. The ensembles are sort of fluttering between sort of 20 and 50% probability at this stage, which again doesn't sound overwhelming, but normally it's close to zero, so it's much higher than normal. So whether we do reach official sudden stratospheric warming level or major sudden stratospheric warming level or not, it's difficult to say. We'll only find out in the next week or so, really. But we're going to see a major warming, potentially seeing a split or at least a major disruption in the polar vortex, which is going to allow a higher chance of cold weather as we head into the new year. And as I said, we are starting to see a tropospheric response for this. As we head over the coming days, westerly winds do remain, but just watch to our north and our northwest into the first days of January, where we start to see more blocking patterns appear. Now, by the 3rd, 4th, we're not seeing anything too major. Low pressure sat over the top of us, but then we start to see ridging further north. It's around the 5th, 6th of January, and look at this. By the 6th, 7th, we're starting to see a northerly wind come in. It's starting to turn out a lot colder, and then we see high pressure trying to push in, and by the 12th, it is up towards our north. Now, it may not look too major, this run. The latest 6 o'clock run hasn't actually produced anything too crazy, but it has gone well below average. Much colder air moving in, snow-worthy air, winteriness definitely would be likely with this, but it's nowhere near as cold as some of the other recent runs. I'm talking more generally, we've got a very cold pattern potentially setting up. If we go back to the midnight run, look at that, a huge Greenland high building and bitterly cold northerly winds appearing as we head into early January. Look at all that huge expanse of Arctic air spreading southwards. Look at the huge area of cold air moving in. And yeah, it would be absolutely bitterly cold if this did come in. Again, if we go and zoom into the United Kingdom, look, go to the 2 meter temperatures, we are widely below freezing, and even in the day, we're touching 1 or 2 degrees at best. Dew points are widely down towards -4, -5, or even lower, so we would be seeing the risk of snow. If we look at the total snow depth, we're seeing lots of snow around, and again, we'll film that details nearer the time if this pattern does come off. But this is just showing you that the runs are definitely trending towards something a lot colder. And it's not just one run. The 6 o'clock run, of course, was colder, not quite as blocked, but colder. The midnight run was freezing cold and blocked. The 6 p.m. last night was freezing cold and blocked again, even pulling in some bitterly cold easterly winds there. If we go back to the midday run yesterday as well, showing a major Scandinavian high starting to build in with easterly winds. So yes, not all the GFS runs are coming off with the same pattern. Not all of them are showing easterly winds or northerly winds, but they're all showing colder weather coming in for early to middle of January, and all showing major blocking starting to take off. Now, most of this blocking is in the extended range, so beyond day 10, so beyond the first sort of 5 days of January. And the important thing for this is starting to see it coming into the 10-day range. And that is something we could start to be seeing on the latest GM and ECWF. We've seen no rumblings of any major cold on these runs yet because they only go out to day 10. We've seen it on some of the extended ECWF charts where it has shown blocking in week 2, week 3, week 4, but it's not shown on the operational run that we have a look at on a daily basis. But we are starting to see hints now of blocking patterns starting to emerge. If we do go through the GM run, again, westerly winds continue to come in, but as we progress into the early part of January, we do start to see some more high pressure building up towards Greenland. And right here at day 10, although we are seeing a pretty mild southwesterly move in, we have got a Greenland high forming. We are seeing cold air getting displaced out of the Arctic, heading towards northern Europe. So again, it doesn't go majorly cold here, but it is showing the first hints of colder patterns starting to emerge. The same is of the ECMWF. Again, westerly winds continue to push in over the coming days, looking very unsettled. And then as we head into the extended range, again, right towards day 10, look at the jet stream. It's much further southwards than it's been recently. Higher pressure is building towards Greenland and generally over the Arctic. If we put on the 500 HPA geopotential heights, you can see again high pressure starting to appear over the Arctic, or at least a lot more high pressure than we've got at the moment, with the dark blues getting displaced a bit more. And then if we have a look at the European view and the upper air temperatures, look at the -5 line. It is slowly creeping southwards, with northerly winds potentially trying to set up. So both GEM and ECMWF are not showing anything too bitterly cold in the next 7 to 10 days, but they're starting to show the potential setup for something a lot colder into the first week or two of January. You may look at that and think, oh, this is very tentative, this is clutching at straws looking at the extended range, but the big indicator of a pattern like this is the ensembles. If we look at the latest GFS ensembles, you can see it is up and down over the next week, but as we head into early January, there is a distinct trend now for well below average temperatures and some extremely cold runs starting to appear. Similar to the operational run, it is fluctuating up and down, but this is a consistent trend now. The 6 o'clock run showing widely averages of -3, -4 degrees, a good 3, 4, 5 degrees below average into early January. And you can see some very cold runs appearing. 2 meter temperatures on a downwards trend towards the low single digits. The dew points on a big downwards trend as well. And the thing is, it's not just 1 or 2 anomalous runs. If you go to the midnight run, this was even colder, even more confidence on the midnight run of some bitterly cold conditions in the longer term. So you could even say it's slightly backtracked on the 6 o'clock run. The 6 p.m. run, again, well below average into early January, and the midday run, a similar pattern. Yes, they're not all equal. Some are slightly milder, some, like the midnight run, were slightly colder, but all are starting to trend below average, and potentially significantly below average. And the thing is, we've got to see cross model consensus. The ECMWF is similar. We're seeing big trends now. As you can see, from around the 1st of January, the ECMWF ensembles, the mean here is below average all the way for the first 10 days of January, with being substantially below average as we head towards the 5th to 10th of January. If we go to it compared to the midday run yesterday, it is colder as well. So yes, we're not saying there's a guaranteed chance of a major cold spell, but it is becoming more and more likely as the days go on. We are starting to potentially see the impacts of the sudden stratospheric warming with a potential tropospheric response, and it's going to be incredibly interesting to watch this over the coming days and coming weeks, because most of you know that the effects of the sudden stratospheric warming can be extremely varied. We saw, for example, in 2019, we did see some cold weather in January, and then we saw a major heat wave in February as a result of a sudden stratospheric warming. 2018, we saw the beast from the east. So we could see temperatures varied from 20 degrees to -20 degrees from the results of a sudden stratospheric warming. So we will have to see what happens, but anywhere from the spectrum of a beast from the east to slightly colder than average is looking very possible here, and we will just have to see how it does evolve. Of course, things going on in the stratosphere do matter significantly here. It's exactly how warm it gets, exactly how weak those zonal mean winds will be, exactly whether we see a displacement or a split event of the polar vortex. That will, or that can change exactly how things do propagate at the surface. But you can see we are seeing a tropospheric response already within the models, and we're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on what happens. But if you are looking forward to some snow, there is a really quite high chance now that we do see something substantial as we head into January. Exactly how it will entail, the exact timelines, the exact severity, we cannot say for certain, probably for at least another week. But things are setting up to be for quite a cold start for 2024, and it could be quite severe indeed if some of these longer term charts do come off. As I said, we'll have to see what happens, but for the next week or so, things are looking very up and down, very varied, and very stormy. And once we get through that and we get into the start of 2024, then as I said, it could be looking very cold indeed, and I'll have all the latest for you on here. So make sure you do stay subscribed and check out the latest videos. I'll have a couple more videos out in the coming days looking at the longer term models, so even longer term models than we've looked at today, some of the weekly charts, and of course keeping up to date with what is going on in the stratosphere. So if you are wanting to see more evidence of this, or have a look at different kind of models just to sort of clarify what is going on, do check out those videos coming out in the next few days. So as I said, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you do, and I'll see you again for another video soon.